What's going on, guys? Welcome to Boosted Motorsports. So behind me I have a Dodge Challenger Hellcat. So this SRT Hellcat, even though it might not look like it, this was pretty ugly not too long ago. So if you guys are new to the channel, we ended up painting this thing, cleaning it up, getting rid of a bunch of stuff because this did have a fire that happened on it. Transmission exploded and this thing caught on fire, but you would never be able to tell now because we absolutely went overkill on this thing. We made it better than factory. We painted the entire engine bay. Most of the stuff usually in the back is primer, but we went full color, full clear, absolutely everywhere. Also did the inner fenders and everywhere. We did the transmission tunnel, which was also pretty much primer originally. And we painted the firewall. We did a lot of stuff, and we painted the roof. So we are just starting to get this thing back together. I'm gonna show you guys how we got to this point. And the last time you guys saw this, none of the suspension stuff was in here. So let me cut to that footage and show you guys what we got going on. First, let's go ahead, get the K-member in here because I've been pushing this thing around on dollies in the front ends. And I wanna get this thing so it's actually rolling around by itself now. So let's get the K-member in there. We can start getting the suspension in there. And then we'll just get as much stuff as we can and see what we get onto today. Okay, so we got the cradle in here. So the torque spec on them is 136 foot-pounds, so that's gonna be fun. So let me torque those down and then we can get on to the next stuff. Either way, the whole vehicle is gonna have to go for an alignment, but it is surprising that there is quite a bit of play on this. It seems like the rear ones, I wanna say, are a little more loose than the fronts. The fronts seem like they locate themselves fairly well, but the rear kind of, there is the ability for this thing to move around. There's no dowels or anything on this whole thing, so definitely we will want to get this whole thing aligned, and we will once we get it back together. But that's that. So let me torque those down and then we can work to getting the suspension on. Okay, so the K-member is in, it's all tight, torqued down to spec. So now I got my little table here because these things are all super heavy, you guys. You would think some of this would be aluminum, but all of these are cast iron and they are heavy. So that, I'm not even exaggerating, that K-member, the whole thing is probably lighter than just one control arm assembly. So just one suspension assembly weighs more than that whole K-member does. So I'm gonna go ahead, I got this on here, I'm gonna use this to stabilize everything, put our bolts in, and get this suspension on here. Do the same to both sides, then we can focus on getting our shock on here and our upper control arms. Okay, so everything is installed, you guys. Still got to tighten some stuff down, but we've got our two lower control arms on here. The upper, I still got to tighten down the hardware here as well as up top, but we'll do that once we get the vehicle down. This is a really weird suspension setup in my opinion. Like normally I'm used to the lower control arm being all one piece and it's fixed here and fixed here, but like look at the amount of movement when you turn the wheel on here. I mean, obviously it's made to do that. It's got double ball joints, but it is a strange setup. Like look at how much that shock moves when you articulate the thing all over the place. Don't know how it works, but it is a very strange setup. And also these are fixed. There's zero adjustment. These are not cam bolts, so whatever way it is, it is. So I'm sure maybe you could buy like offset ball joints and stuff, but from the factory, it looks like the only thing you can really adjust is the toe, which is kind of crazy. But anyways, that's that one. Let's go ahead and do the other side. My sway bar is there. It kind of has a really weird sway bar setup, so I was trying to figure out or remember how it went. So it actually goes down here, and the sway bar comes and it loops down across the bottom and then goes over here. So I might end up dusting that and making it look a little nicer because I haven't cleaned that thing up. But anyways, I can always put that in at any time. It's on to the side. Okay, so this side went a little bit faster after getting the hang of the other side. So this is all on here. I gotta put my rotors on, and I could technically put the calipers and all that stuff on as well, I suppose. But I just want to get it rolling for now. I also need to put in the power steering rack, so let me figure that stuff out and get that as well. Okay, so I couldn't help myself. I ended up taking the end links, the old end links off of the sway bar, and I painted it so it's outside drying. But while that's drying, I'm gonna clean off all of this caked on brake dust and stuff right here. Fastest way for me is just to hit it with the wire wheel real quick. Should clean up. Let's see what it looks like. Well, that worked absolutely awesome, you guys. They look like brand new. So I ended up throwing the mask on after a couple seconds there because it was shooting out some nasty stuff. So there was, I don't know, it was like a combination of brake dust and probably smoke or whatever. But anyways, they look as good as ever there. So go ahead and throw them on. The funny thing is they were actually on backwards. Let me check on the rear. So we got drilled and slotted in the front. Do we have drilled and slotted? Yeah, it's the same thing. Oh no, the rears are on correctly though. So the actual slotted portion goes in the correct way. The fronts were swapped. They were both facing the wrong way last time. So anyways, I'll get those on there, and we can also hang our calipers, I suppose. And we're still missing a rack. All right, so next up, I'm just kind of getting organized. Like I said, our sway bar is still drying. We painted it, but this car was originally a hydraulic power steering car. But I have here an electric power steering. Since I'm changing or have to replace the whole engine bay harness, I went ahead and picked up one that was for a electric power steering car. So this harness will connect to that, and I have never seen this documented, so I might end up making a subsequent video because this is completely experimental. But I'm gonna see if I can get electric power steering on this car because it'll free up a few ponies, plus it will actually make it a little bit better, cleaner in the engine bay, and not having to run a hydraulic pump. I think it'll be a little bit better. So anyways, that's right here. It does have a bent tie rod because this was from a wrecked vehicle. So I'm gonna see if I can take the inner tie rods off of my hydraulic rack. I'm not sure if they're different at this point, but we'll find out here in a second. And then hopefully we can get this rack in here. All right, so here's the original hydraulic power steering rack that came out of the car that was in the fire. But I was hoping just for now I could just take the inner tie rod from the hydraulic rack and just put it on here until the new replacement came in, because this one is absolutely tacoed from the wrecked car. But it is different. The length is similar, but you can see here where it threads in. This one is significantly larger on the electric rack, and this one, that does not go. It just slips in and slips out. So I guess I'm gonna have to order the specific one to put this on. So I don't know what I'm gonna do here. I'm not too sure, because that is probably gonna be next to impossible to try to bend without some substantial force. But I do at the same time want to be able to put this rack on so I can push it around and steer it, but that wheel is probably gonna be really tucked in on the one side. So let me see if I can figure something out, at least temporarily, until the new one comes in. Okay, so just so I can get this thing to roll around, I'm trying to see if I can maybe straighten this a little bit. Like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect by any means, but enough so I can install it and at least not have the wheels all over the place. So let me see if I can squeeze this in the vise. Okay, well, I don't know if I straightened much of this out, but I definitely straightened my vise out. So my cheap vise let go right there before this tie rod did. So anyways, I'm not mad about it whatsoever. I think I might have straightened it a tiny bit, but enough so maybe I can use it for now. Still a little bit of a banana, but I think it'll work for pushing it around. All right, so steering rack is in, and kind of just put an eyeball alignment on it, at least so we can push it around. What I'm doing right now though is I went ahead and started to clean the calipers. I kind of gave a quick clean on it last time, Apparently I left the water running because it's late at night and I am getting tired. But I ended up cleaning it up. They came out really, really good. So these things are absolutely covered in brake dust, and I managed to get majority of it off. So you're not really going to see the backside, so I didn't spend a ton of time over there, but the fronts are looking pretty dang good. So I'm going to do the same thing with this one. So like I said, I did a kind of rough clean on it before, but I'm using a specific product. I'll link it down below if you guys are interested, because this stuff is phenomenal. I'm not sponsored by these guys or anything like that, but I've been using this for a few years and it takes off brake dust amazing. It's a little bit pricey. It's like 10 bucks a bottle. I usually get it at Walmart, but it works insane, you guys. So this stuff works really good, and it doesn't like dull your wheels or any of your paint, but it just chews at brake dust. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean this one as well, because I don't think these have ever been cleaned. Look at that brake dust. So I managed to get most of it off of that one. That one looks like brand new now, but might as well clean them up before we put them on. Okay, so there they are. I would say those look pretty dang decent, so let's get them on the car. Okay, so we've got our Brembos on both sides. Pretty happy with how that all turned out. So it does kind of look like some of the clear coat is missing on here. I don't know if somebody went crazy scrubbing these at some point, but you can see here it's kind of dull, and then here it's shiny. So I don't know, we'll see. It probably would be a perfect opportunity to do it now, but who knows whether I'll end up changing the color of the Brembos. I don't know, red on orange is a little bit funky in my opinion, but I might end up getting them completely powder coated. But anyways, it's not really a major issue for now. So I think my sway bar should be done drying, so let me go ahead and install the sway bar back here now. All right, so I'm gonna keep saying it, you guys. This is looking as good, if not better, than factory, and I'm willing to bet. Comment down below in the comments. You guys think this looks better than factory, or are we just on par with things? So I got the sway bar in here, freshly painted. I swear there's not even really any paints hardly on the factory one, but this is looking glossy instead of just a factory flat. And then I've got the little heat shields on here for our sway bar bushings, because exhaust comes through here, so those are from the factory as well. Everything's on here, kind of bundled up. I do have some brake lines and stuff that I want to get on here at some point, but it's not a necessity, and I want to focus on the front end. So it's pretty late here right now, but still going to continue the video. So in the morning, what I'm going to do is get the front wheels. I haven't done like a thorough clean on the wheels, and I feel like it's probably necessary right now. So I do actually have to find a fourth wheel. If you guys happen to have one by any chance, or you know where to get one, I am missing one wheel. So right now I've got this 300C wheel on here just so we can roll it around, but I have this style of wheel and I'm missing one because one was completely obliterated. So if you happen to know one, or you know a set of wheels for this car for sale, or you guys can hook us up, or whatever the case is. I ultimately want to have a drag pack on the car, but I really like these 5-spoke SRT wheels. Normally you see the ones that kind of look like a spider web, but these 5 spokes, you don't see them as much, and I'm kind of digging them. So I'm gonna, in the morning, get out the other 2 that I have. We'll clean them because they are filthy. I don't know if I'll clean the rear one. I'll probably leave this one on, but at least clean the front one since we're focusing on the front on this video. And we'll see you guys in the morning, and then we'll keep going from there. Okay, so it's the next day. I actually decided to give these just a light dusting of clear. So I think it kind of brightens them up a little bit. I just taped that off, and then I just kind of held up. I didn't do anything too official or fancy, but I just quickly taped it all off and just did that on the front side, because that's the only spot where it seems like stuff's missing. So same thing here. I think you guys can probably see in the camera they're much more bright, but at some point I'm probably gonna end up getting them all custom powder coated anyways, like I was mentioning. But for now, at least they're looking bright and shiny again. So let's go ahead, grab the wheels, and we'll clean them off. Okay, so here's the 2 wheels. Like I mentioned, I've only got 3 at the moment, and yeah, this one kind of has some not so nice curb rash on it too, but at least this is what we got for now. We'll clean them up at least so when it's rolling around it doesn't look absolutely horrendous. Just tons of brake dust on it. This one actually, check this out, you guys would find this entertaining. Look at this tire. I don't know if you guys can see that in the camera. It got so hot that it started like bubbling. So look at the soot coming out of it. So I'll clean it, at least so it's not making a mess in the shop. But yeah, pretty nasty. Thankfully, this is the one that's got the curb mark in it, so. But yeah, these tires are roasted and we only got 3, so we'll clean them up though and get them on there. Okay, there we go. These wheels are as clean as they're gonna get for now, so let's go ahead and slap them on. Man, these calipers came out super nice. I don't know if you guys can see, they're glossy as ever, so I'm pretty happy that I decided to just do that real quick. Anyways, the wheels are dry. Let's go ahead and throw them on. Okay, so we got our wheels on, looking pretty dang good, if I may say so myself. But you will notice that I've got no way of steering this thing. So it's kind of a sequence of events. In order for me to steer it, I gotta hook up the steering column. In order for me to put the steering column in, I've got to put the dash frame in that holds the steering column. And in order to put the dash in, I still got to put that big piece of insulation. And in order to put the big piece of insulation in, I also have to run my wiring that goes through the firewall. It's like a whole process just to get a steering wheel. So that's going to be a completely separate video, but I do actually, if you guys do or don't know, I picked up a set of fenders, and just by pure luck from the salvage yard, they were orange. So I got a orange bumper and orange fenders. They're pretty beat up because most places don't try to like retain the paint, because 9 times out of 10, or even pretty much 10 times out of 10, when you're buying body parts, they don't, you know, most wrecking yards don't, you know, try to preserve the paint on it because they figure you're going to be doing a color change on it. But it just so happens that it was orange. They're a little bit beat up, but they're better than the ones that we had that were all burnt. So let me throw them on and let's see how they look. All right, so here's the fenders I was telling you about, you guys. They actually cleaned up half decent. They're not perfect by any means, and they've got some scratches. I just wiped them down as much as I could. They're probably gonna look mint on camera. I kind of know how this already works, but if I look or show you guys up close, like, they've got some battle wounds for sure. There's like a couple small dents. I don't know if you'll be able to see them in the camera, and like it's gonna be hard to see. See the little scratches and stuff everywhere. It's like some scuffs and bruises, but overall they look half decent. Another like big scratch right there you can probably see, and some scuffs all through here. Another little scuff right there you might be able to see, but let me get them on. I think it'll definitely complete the look a little bit, and like I kind of have been saying a few times about the car, is at some point I do want to probably repaint the entire car because there's battle wounds all over the place on this thing. So she's not perfect. It's a used car after all, but it's gonna kind of be in line with everything else, and then eventually, hopefully, when we get more time, and this is way after we get it running and everything, but I would like to paint the whole car. But let's get these on. Check it out, you guys. So one of the other things too is I was a little bit worried when we were painting the fresh stuff that the original car, like, I don't know, maybe was a different color, but you can see this matches really well to here. But over here, I don't know if you guys can see on this camera, but this is, you can even hear it. It's really dull. I'm pretty sure that the fact is this just needs to be polished at this point, because this is a factory paint. And this is actually came out really smooth, but this, like, can't hear anything. You guys can probably hear all the crud that's stuck to that paint. So this definitely needs to be polished, and then I'm pretty sure everything should start to come out beautiful. So that's that one there. This is this one here. I still got to align this door a little bit. I think the bottom of the door has to get sucked in a little bit because it's sticking out a little bit. But overall, she's looking pretty good. Let's put this thing down a little bit and see kind of what the ride height is. I think we got to at this point. Well, never mind the fact that there's no drivetrain in it. She is a monster truck, so I think we got to get the engine and transmission and everything else in there before we can actually see what it's going to sit like, because there's no weight in it. So she is, yeah, it's definitely going to sit a heck of a lot lower than that. All right, so a bunch of progress again in this video. Like I said, we're just going to keep chipping away at this thing and get this thing situated. So pretty much the next episode is going to be, like I said, getting all that stuff together, getting the wiring and a lot of the stuff in the firewall, the insulation, all that stuff in there, so that we can actually put the steering wheel in there, the steering column, and be able to turn this thing and move it around. So I feel like that's going to be a huge project in itself. I started to get the parts all lined up over here, ready to go. So if you guys are enjoying this series, make sure you give it a thumbs up before you take off. Also, we do have Boosted Motorsports live, so shopboosted.com is live. You can get yourself one of these t-shirts like I'm wearing. We also have a bunch of other shirt designs over there. We've got parts, we've got HID kits, we've got throttle bodies, all kinds of stuff for you guys over there, and we're going to be continuing to add more as we go. Also, we do have consultations. If you guys are Hellcat swapping anything or Hemi swapping anything and you need help, I'm your guy. I've solved a lot of different people's issues, and I've had vehicles brought to me where other people couldn't figure them out, and I've got them running and driving. So we've got the Hellcat up here, the Hellcat Swap Dodge Dakota, got the Hellcat Swap Ram, and we have the Scat Pack Swap Dakota. So got a lot of swap stuff around here. So check out those other videos if you haven't already. I'll see you guys on the next one.